This portion of the platform is brought to you by Rumettes, the fastest way to bring the illusion of 3D detail to the insides of your model railroad structures. And by City Classics, producers of realistic miniature buildings, signs and accessories for model railroaders since 1989. Available at your local hobby shop or order direct.
Hello everyone, welcome to The Platform, the podcast for the rail fan and the model railroader alike. We are coming to you from the North Shore of Lake Ontario, somewhere between Toronto and Montreal, on a very busy rail corridor, hosting between 40 and 50 trains a day. In addition to our 3 studio cameras, we also have a Railstream webcam that is attached to our station here, taking in the action that's rolling past. We can tap into that to get some more detailed footage, and also covering our favorite grade crossing. And who knows, maybe today we might even get an oil pan scrape or two. Joining me today on the platform is the director of photography for the Discovery series Rocky Mountain Railroad, Michael Cammidge. Here's a clip.
In the mountains, it's always a battle.
We've had very large avalanches coming down over the railway.
This is terrifying right now, to be honest with you.
Steep grades, tight corners, and lots of snow. We have tons to worry about.
Are you kidding me?
We're under the crunch.
There is a train coming at us and we can't stop it. It's gonna come down to the wire.
If you get injured, I have to live with it for the rest of my life.
All it takes is one little mess up and it'll escalate quickly.
Oh, I gotta check the water level on that.
Coming up to a mudslide, I'm not going to stop. I'm punching it, and I'm going through it.
This was from a windstorm.
Wow, is that ever awesome? When it's my time to retire, they're going to have to drag me kicking and screaming off the train. Being a locomotive engineer is all I've ever wanted. The railway's a 24-hour industry, massive heavy trains. They're always moving, and the track has always got something that needs to be tended to.
During my initial orientation, I got this right here tattooed on me, which is my employee number. It's not a job, it's a way of life.
We got a lot of work in here right now. Working on the railway is very dangerous. You always have to be alert.
Harder than it looks.
This isn't good. We got a huge potential derailment.
ONR's one of the last flag stops in Canada. It's kind of like railroad hitchhiking.
When I see the train coming, I just basically wave my arms and wave my gloves in the air. They'll see me.
There's all sorts of people along the line that do live off the grid. They have supplies. They usually waiting at the stop that we need to throw the package off at, and that's what we call airmail. We'll stop and pick you up, and anything you happen to have with you, too. Everything from guns to groceries to moose. If somebody can carry it out of the bush, we'll put it on the train.
That's just a ton of snow.
This is our snow fighter. What kid can't say no to driving a yellow Tonka truck all the time? It's the most fun I've ever had.
We're going to be going downhill here very shortly.
It's night and day driving a train in the winter and then it's in the summer.
We're 15,000 tons going down a 2.5% grade.
Expect the worst and pray for the best.
We've lost all our power. If we don't get it back on, I don't know what's going to happen.
You don't want to have an accident on the railway because they'll name it after you.
Well, that's a fair statement.
Definitely is.
Let's do it! That's it. We're done. Another successful trip.
Thanks for riding with us.
Good job today.
First round's on me.
The men and women that work here, tough mentally and physically. If you're away from home and it's a lot of work, you got to really have your head in the game.
Day in the life. Railroading.
Best job in the world.
So Mike, welcome to the platform.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for agreeing to do this.
Yes,
You're
no
Mr.
problem.
Rocky Mountain Railroad.
Yes, that's what my friends call me.
Yeah. Mike, before we delve into the show, I want to introduce you to our audience. So tell us a little bit about Michael Cammidge, where you're from and where you went to school, family life, how much money's in your RRSP.
My banking account numbers and...
That'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so get your pens. Yeah, well, I'm born and raised in Toronto, Canada, and I'm a director and director of photography I work primarily in unscripted TV. And over the last 10 years, I've sort of become a specialist in what I would sort of classify as extreme lifestyle television programming. So I've worked on shows like Cold Water Cowboys for Discovery Channel, Ice Road Truckers for History Channel. I direct a series called Heavy Rescue for Discovery Channel as well. And I also directed and was the lead DOP on Rocky Mountain Railroad.
So let's rewind a little bit. Tell us, so you grew up in Toronto. East Ender?
I'm an East Ender, yeah.
You're an East Ender?
I'm from the East End of Toronto.
We won't hold that against you.
Yeah.
You're still welcome here.
Okay, great.
Yeah. How did you first get interested in film? Were you walking around as a kid with a Fisher-Price movie camera? What happened?
No, I didn't. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and then I went to university, and I went to Carleton University in Ottawa, and I got in just to do a general BA and sort of figure it out from there. But I had my mother had bought me a little Digital 8 camera for Christmas that first year of school, which was in the year 2000. And I started making videos with that, and I kind of got the bug. And then during the summers, while I continued with my degree, I went to New York Film Academy in New York City, where you just essentially pay to go. You don't have to have any prerequisites to get in.
My check.
Exactly, yeah. And that was the experience that really I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. This is what I got to do. Initially that was filmmaking. And so, from there, once I graduated, I started working on, I'd go and volunteer on short films and work as a driver on films and whatnot. But what I found out was that filmmaking, it was a very slow process. So, if you were lucky, you could get, maybe 1-2 jobs a year. But what I found was that TV, you could work on, like 6 shows a year, and so I found that TV was a little bit more my pace, and got into television and sort of just climbed the ranks that way.
Day one at Carleton on your BA, did you ever see yourself in the film industry, or were you just there trying to find yourself like every other college kid?
Exactly, I was trying to find myself like every other college kid. It was like, what is my calling kind of thing.
Drinking only carbonated beverages.
Drinking only. But what really did it for me was the Tom Green Show. I don't know if you remember the Tom Green Show.
Tom Green Show. Help me out.
So the Tom Green Show was a public access show on Rogers. So Tom Green was a comedian from Ottawa, and he used to go. He played jokes on people in the street, pranks.
Oh, okay.
And he he had his own little show, kind of like you guys got,
Mm-hmm.
And
it is little.
We
do have a little show.
But it eventually got picked up by MTV, and he became like an international sensation. And he moved to Los Angeles, and he was in movies and did all kinds of really like fun stuff. But I remember, it started with him and his buddy just going out and filming stuff in the streets, and that's sort of what I was doing with my camera. And so that's what really gave me the buzz, because I had never seen anything like it. But his sense of humor was very similar to what mine was, and kind of went from there.
Okay, so then you write the check. You go to the New York Film Academy. How long is that training there?
That was like an 8-week course.
Okay.
And they have different courses. They have courses in acting. They have courses in writing, producing. But I took the one in directing, and so that was still, when they were teaching everybody on film. So like we learned on did Super 16 film. We cut on the old Steenbecks, and where you can touch the film. And
this was before the era of strictly 1s and 0s.
Exactly. Well, it was sort of right when that was starting. But yeah.
Did you ever have any aspirations of being in front of the camera?
No, not really. I mean, a little bit, I guess, but no, not really.
I find when it comes to the TV world, there's 2 kinds of people. There's in front of the camera, and there's production behind the camera, and very rare do the two want to meet.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you get a certificate, or you get some sort of credential from having graduated this course?
Yeah, sure.
What's your first job? You're a driver on a set, or what are you doing?
so somebody, a producer I had met at the New York Film Academy was working at CBC in Toronto, and she got me a job as a driver on World Youth Day. So do you remember when like the Pope came to Toronto?
I do, yes.
So I got a job as a driver on World Youth Day, and I met the director of the show The National. So I would drive like Peter Mansbridge and his director, whose name was Fred Parker, to and from the field where the... And I kind of hit it off with him, and he was just a really nice guy. Like, he would sit in the front seat with me, and I was like, yeah, this is, I'm going to school right now. But I've sort of discovered this love of film and television, and that's what I want to do. I'm like, do you have any advice? And I was like, should I just drop out now and get into TV? And his advice was to do that. His
drop out of school.
His advice was like, he said it in a nice way. He said, look, continuing with university, he's like, it can't hurt you. He's like, but it's not necessarily going to help you. He's like, if you really love this, like, quit now and I'll help you get in. And I didn't follow that advice. I actually went back to school, which I think actually now might have been a mistake, because, if I had gone and worked at, just climbed the ranks somewhere as a PA, I would have probably got into the business sooner. But
PA, production assistant?
Okay. Yeah,
All right, you have to forgive me. Some of the acronyms
no
are
worries. No worries.
Okay, so what happened after that?
I graduated Carleton, 2004, I guess it was, and I started working on short films. There was a director in Ottawa, independent film director. His name was Max McGuire. And he was producing a short film the summer I graduated. And so I reached out to him and I said, can I come and work on it? And he said, yeah, absolutely, if you can work for free. And I said, that's perfect. And then he did a couple more. He did a feature film, a few months after that. And so I would, sort of cut my teeth working on little things like that. And but then I moved to Toronto, and then sort of was trying to get into films, but it was just a really tough nut to crack.
Toronto's been referred to as Hollywood North. Is there any truth to that? I think it has something to do with tax breaks, maybe
for sure.
Difference in currency value.
Yeah, Toronto definitely. I mean, it's a huge production hub.
Were you able to tap into that?
A little bit, yeah. The thing is with the Toronto production hub, it's all American money. It's not like these are Canadian, funded projects. It's actually, big Hollywood money coming up here, a lot of the time with Hollywood crews, and, the sort of the below the line people, the grips, electrical department, the craft services, those are Toronto people. But the actual creatives, those are LA people, right?
Yeah. The people writing the checks are all going to be.
They're all the principal creatives are.
So how did you immerse yourself into getting your first paying gig, and what was that? Do you recall?
Well, I would do occasional driver jobs here and there, but I could never actually get. I guess one of the biggest problems was, it's like I didn't really know what I wanted to do exactly. I just knew I wanted to work in the business, and you really have to zero in and say, I want to do this, and then go.
And you had that certificate from New York.
But that doesn't mean
you need street cred.
You need to. There's no way, but there's no way a director's going to come out of school.
You need to direct something.
You need to. The only way to do it in film is to actually, you have to write and direct and finance your own project. You have to get into a festival circuit. You have to hopefully get that bought and distributed somewhere.
Yeah.
And then financiers will.
So you have to create your own resume.
100%. There's no other way to do it.
Yeah.
So then I ended up meeting some guys that had sold a pilot to Food Network. It was a show called Chef Off. I connected with them and I convinced them to let me help produce the pilot, and I did that for essentially nothing. And they ended up selling the pilot to Food Network, and Food Network gave them, I think, 8 episodes to produce. So they hired me to.
Now you've got a paycheck.
Now I got a paycheck.
Excellent.
But that, of course, was that ended up happening in 2008, and that was when the recession hit. So it made so the next gig didn't come for another year or so, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just I found that TV was a better suit for me after that experience working on the Food Network show.
So let's fast forward the tape a little bit and get to the there's the I hear the bells. That will be our second guest. Of course, our second guest is the railroad itself. It's never an intrusion. It's always welcomed here. We watch the trains as they go by. We're going to swing the cameras, and Mike, we're going to rail fan right from our seats here, and from a distance they sound alike, and then as they get closer I think this might be a freight train. It's a freight train. You know, in real estate how they say location, location, location? The same is true for a railroad podcast. We found our location.
This portion of the platform is brought to you by Bowser Manufacturing, providing quality products to the model railroad hobby for nearly 50 years. And by Model Railroader magazine. Whether you run on carpet or hardwood, we help you take your hobby to new levels with every issue.
These are my favorite trains, Mike. The manifest trains, just a mix of everything.
Yeah, very cool.
Tank cars, gondolas, box cars, auto racks, got a little bit of everything. The longer freight trains are the norm here on this subdivision. Really long. You're familiar with distributed power, where they put a locomotive in the middle of the train? Yeah, I thought so. Did you ever have trains as a kid?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you did?
Oh, yeah.
How old were you? You recall?
I can't remember, 8 maybe.
Train set?
Little train set, just went around the tree kind of thing.
Didn't go anywhere with it though?
Yeah, no.
Fizzled out?
I loved it. I mean, it was...
I can't remember a time in my life now when I didn't have trains.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's my way of saying I'm old.
This is a big one.
Yeah, it's very long. Here goes another one. This is the norm now, intermodal.
Yeah.
We've had days where we've been skunked on trains. We've done like episodes, not a single train.
Oh,
and
really?
here we got 2 back to back, so this is great.
Yeah, yeah. I think you guys are the only crew in the world that actually encourages a freight train to run through the background.
Oh, it's great. It's fantastic. I used to find intermodal trains pretty boring, pretty blasé when they were first on the scene. Everything was clean, all the equipment was new. But I find they've been around enough that the equipment's weathered, the cars, the containers have weathered. There's a lot more diversity now with the shipping companies, and I find that, like the old manifest trains, the intermodal trains have taken on more character.
Right.
I'm actually enjoying them a lot more now. It used to be, it's a container train, right? But yeah, there's a lot going on if you pay attention to them. Well, how about that? Our second guest showed up and delivered us a twofer. We had an eastbound and a westbound. Can't ask for more than that on a railroad podcast. So, Mike, let's finish off this segment by taking us from you're getting jobs around the Toronto area as a driver on set. Let's fast forward the tape and introduce us to how the Rocky Mountain project comes to your attention.
Well, I like I said, I had been doing these extreme lifestyle shows.
Those came first.
Yeah. So I had worked on a couple shows for History Channel. One called Ice Road Truckers, which is really popular, and one called Cold Water Cowboys for Discovery. And then I had been directing a really popular show for Discovery called Heavy Rescue 401. And so the broadcaster knows who I am, it's like directing shows for them. So Rocky Mountain Railroad had been greenlit, and so they reached out to me and said, can you come and direct this?
We got this show about the Canadian Pacific Railway out in the
Exactly.
Rockies.
Exactly.
It's going to be cold.
Yeah, and it's definitely a certain, certain skill set, I guess, to be able to shoot these kind of shows, because they're shot with certain equipment that you have to be familiar with, certain micro crews. So you have to kind of understand, how to shoot, how to direct, how to build stories, how to, have a decent understanding of audio, as well as understand these sort of like blue collar type people that we're working with, because you're not working with actors, you're actually working with real people who are doing their job.
You're shadowing them.
You're shadowing them, and you're also, requiring them. You're getting story from them, factual stories, and so it's not necessarily for a scripted director, somebody who's used to working with actors, to come in and work with these people. They would offend them, I think, and they would annoy them very quickly, and it wouldn't work. So so
railroaders are hardly the thespian theater types.
That they are not. Yeah, exactly. So they need somebody who knows how to relate to them, I think.
So your background, by the time Rocky Mountain Project came around, you had built out yourself as this extreme lifestyle docu-series reality type guy.
Yeah.
And so your name comes up in a meeting somewhere, and they said Mike Cammidge is going to be our guy.
Yeah, and how it works is Discovery Channel will have 5 or 6 different production executives, and each one of them is responsible for 1 to 2 different shows. And he was also responsible for Heavy Rescue 401, and so he knew that I had directed this show, which he was responsible for. So he knew who I was, he knew my work, he knew I was capable of it, so he was comfortable in saying, okay, yeah, Mike can shoot and direct this.
Yeah. And so were you excited about it right away? Did you have to think about it? Did you
I was
jump
actually
at the chance?
So of course I was very excited about it, because the thought of going to film anything in the Rocky Mountains was, who wouldn't want to do that. The issue was that I was under contract with another company for Heavy Rescue. And so I had to kind of go to that, and it's hard to go to them and say, yeah, I have another show, I want to leave. So I had to go talk to the series producer, and he was very accommodating. He said, yeah, we'll let you leave your contract early and go do this other show. I understand, I'm a freelancer as well. So they let me do that, and I was off to the Rocky Mountains.
Are you familiar with the name William Cornelius Van Horn?
I'm not.
The Canadian Pacific Railway's first president, William Cornelius Van Horn, has a famous quote, and it goes, if we cannot export the scenery, speaking of the Rocky Mountain, the splendor of the Rocky Mountains, if we cannot export the scenery, then we shall import the tourists. And you got a front row seat to that splendor that Van Horn was talking about. I'm going to have you back on another segment, and we're going to squirrel into Rocky Mountain, and we're going to start talking about that project. That completes this episode of The Platform. For more of us, you can check us out on the YouTube. You can also check out our audio podcast, which is completely different guests with completely different content, called The Platforum, the Station House audio series, and it streams on Spotify. I'm Bob Fallowfield. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.